South China Sea, no risk of imminent war with Philippines over disputed claims, Beijing think tank says. South China Sea Strategic Situation Probing Initiative says Manila cannot win on its own, and the U.S. is not interested in getting directly involved. Report comes as repeated confrontations in disputed areas of resource-rich South China Sea spark concerns over a possible hot conflict. There is no immediate risk of war between China and the Philippines in the South China Sea despite repeated clashes in recent months, a noted Chinese think tank has said. This is because the Philippines cannot beat China on its own, and the U.S. is not interested in getting directly involved in any such conflict, the South China Sea Strategic Situation Probing Initiative, SCSPI, said. The United States hopes to use the Philippines' geographical location to contain China, but it does not want to be unnecessarily involved in an armed conflict with China because of the Philippines' agenda, the Beijing-based think tank said in its latest annual report. SCSPI Director Hubo said while the Philippines appeared to be turning into a proxy for U.S. interests aimed at countering Beijing, there was no possibility of a proxy war, given that rival South China Sea claimants including Manila would not be able to win if the U.S. did not get involved. The United States does not want to fight, and the Philippines and Vietnam do not dare to fight, Hu told a panel discussion to mark the report's release on Friday. This comes amid continued confrontations between Chinese and Philippine vessels in disputed areas of the resource-rich waterway over the past year. The latest encounter took place on Saturday, in the second such standoff this month, with Manila saying water cannons fired by the Chinese Coast Guard at a supply ship off the second Thomas Shoal had damaged the vessel and injured its crew. The Philippine-controlled shoal is part of the Spratly Islands chain claimed by both countries and called Nansha in Chinese. The repeated standoffs have raised concerns over the likelihood of a conflict, with the United States getting involved to defend its treaty ally, the Philippines. The U.S. has repeatedly expressed support for the Philippines on the matter and condemned the Chinese action on Saturday as dangerous and reckless. Beijing said it carried out control, obstruction, and eviction in accordance with law, while also warning the U.S. not to intervene. The U.S. has also emphasized that it would be treaty-bound to defend the Philippines if its military, ships, or aircraft were to come under armed attack. The CSPI report said despite Washington's diplomatic support for Manila and the deployment of P-8As and other types of unmanned reconnaissance aircraft to provide real-time intelligence support, there was no sign that it would directly assist Philippine resupply missions to the second Thomas Shoal. The resupply missions serve a small number of troops stationed by Manila on a warship that had purposely grounded off the shoal to reinforce its sovereignty claims in 1999. The United States hopes that trouble will happen every day in the South China Sea, but at this stage, it does not want big trouble to happen there. It is not yet ready and determined to have a military showdown with China, the report said. According to Hu, the good news is that in the foreseeable future, there should be no armed conflict in the South China Sea. He said U.S. actions so far have been restrained and its top priority was to deter China, rather than start a war, adding that both countries wanted their ties to stabilize. The CSPI annual report studies U.S. military activities in the region. According to Friday's edition, the frequency of U.S. Navy aircraft carrier strike group activities in the South China Sea last year was the same as in 2022, but their duration had increased significantly. U.S. warships also made fewer Taiwan Strait transits last year, the report said, though aerial transits had increased. It also said Washington had increased the hype around its operations and stepped up efforts to use its regional allies to pressure Beijing.